this first day of the new year. It is, if you want to have a slogan, let's go. It'll be all nifty keen in 2017. Go with that for the year. I am pleased to welcome you to Bloom in the Desert Ministries. We light this candle as our Christ candle today. It's in a little different setting during our Epiphany time. The Epiphany is, we are celebrating today, Epiphany Sunday. It isn't like that all around the world in the Christian church. Epiphany is actually January 6th. It's the 12th day of Christmas. We're still in the days of Christmas. That's why we have the Christmas tree still up, both here and at our house. I don't know about you. Nope. And it is understood to be the day when we recognize Jesus coming, the message of Jesus coming to the Gentiles, in the sense that the Magi, the wise ones, the astrologers came from the east for adoration to the Christ child as well, following the star. Now, through our lives in Sunday school, we probably got a mashup of a story in our heads about the nativity, and we think that the shepherds came first, and then they cued the wise men to show up, and everybody's in the barn at the same time. And actually, it's most likely that they came anywhere up to 2 years later, as far as a visit. And most likely it wasn't to Bethlehem, even though it says, some people say it is in Bethlehem. So like we read this song, and we don't even know how many there were. Because they just, they came, wise ones came, and they brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So we think there's three because they had three gifts. If somebody would have brought fruitcake, there would have been four. But they didn't. And so this is a day when we celebrate the coming of the light to all the world. That's the aspect. And we at Bloom are celebrating it on this Sunday. And have chosen that. Epiphany Sunday, I welcome you to Bloom in the Desert Ministries, United Church of Christ, and Reconciling Ministries congregation. We are a church that strives to live up to the motto of the United Church of Christ. It says, whoever you are and wherever you are on the journey of faith, you are welcome here. And so we know that that means that we welcome people who are different than us, and we know there are some people who are like us. We welcome people not because we're tolerating people, but because we want to celebrate people, and because we recognize people as they are created by God in many different ways and expressions of divine creation. We know that we are people who at times are black and red and brown and yellow and white. We know that we are people across a spectrum of perspectives from a political standpoint, an educational standpoint. We come from a wide variety of geographic regions, even as of this very Sunday morning. And we know also that there are various ways in which people have their expressions and connectedness with one another. And so we celebrate people who are straight and gay and bisexual. We also know that there are different identities within creation, that life is not simply a binary kind of division between male and female. So we understand that in gender identity. And we welcome people who are non-specific in gender identity, people who are transgender, people who are transitioning, and people who consider themselves gender fluid. It's an intersex, in a sense that gender is not something that is clearly necessarily as clearly defined as people try to make it out to be. We also know that there are ways in which we connect with one another in life. And so in that sense, our desire is to welcome people as you see yourself from the inside out, rather than as we would foist an identity upon you. So let it be that that's the welcome that we bring to one another today. Let's live that out. We do want to invite folks to a hospitality time after worship, and that can be a time of further
rise and join me in reading the responsive call to worship and welcoming the new year. The star-struck Magi came from a distant perspective, following a peculiar star.
We come to worship, and the ancient star sheds light on our contemporary lives.
They brought gifts to offer the child.
We too bring gifts, ourselves, our hopes, our dreams.
Shepherds earlier and magi later, meek and the mighty inhabit our story, because all are welcome to come and adore the Christ child.
We say together now in Holy Communion, and then we return to our homes, rejoice. Shalom, salam, run, paz, peace, amen.
This is a time in our worship where in faith we open our hearts to ministry. The first Sunday of the year is time for covenant renewal. In addition to our personal goals, we say this prayer as a recommitment to the values of our faith and our church community.
Blessed Creator, who in daylight, in sunsets, in midnights we find you. We offer you our gifts for your holy work. Accept now our very lives, O God, our laughter and our strife, our hands and our dreams. May we know your love and your call to us, all 525,600 minutes of this year, and seek ways to be that love for others, in prayer and protest, through our time and our talents. Enable us to bear witness to your care and justice for all your people, as we are all your offspring. Bless our lives, every one of the next 525,600 minutes and beyond. In your many names and each of our identities, we pray. Amen.
God, now hear our silent prayers that the people say, Amen.
Amen.
Behold, God is with us as the light and breath of the world, nurturing us and making all things new.
Amen. Let us now receive the word.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today's Hebrew scripture reading is from Isaiah 63, verses 7 through 9. I will tell you of Yahweh's unfailing love and sing the praises of Yahweh for all that Yahweh did for us, the many good things done for the house of Israel, which God did with motherly compassion and many kindnesses. For Yahweh said, truly, these are my people, children who will not be false to me. And so God became their liberator. In all their distress, O God, you were distressed, and the angel of your presence saved them. You redeemed them out of deep love and profound mercy. You lifted them up and carried them from time immemorial. Here ends the Hebrew scripture reading.
Rise as you are able for the reading of the Gospel. Gospel reading today is from Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 2. After Jesus' birth, which happened in Bethlehem of Judea during the reign of Herod, astrologers from the east arrived in Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the newborn ruler of the Jews? We observed his star at its rising and have come to pay homage." Here ends the reading of the Gospel. This is the good news of Jesus Christ.
Thanks be God. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Ron Meyer. I'm a member of this church, but right now as an interim minister, I'm serving a church in Simi Valley, California, and I'm here on Christmas vacation. And I'm so happy to be with you. A year ago, I think we started a tradition here. I don't know if it'll remain a tradition, but we started something.
You do too.
It keeps going. Of giving away stars. And you will receive a star. Consider this star as part of star stuff of which you are all made. How many know, what's his name, Carl Sagan? Carl Sagan, star stuff, you know what star stuff is? Okay. We are part of the universe is part of us. And so are these stars that you will be receiving. As you receive them, accept them if you will. Accept whatever is offered to you, because it comes from the universe. It comes from a God who loves you. And it's always a surprise. When you encounter this gift of a star, there is a word on it that God has chosen just for you. So take it, accept it, and see what it does. Here are some ways you can encounter that word in the future. What are some associations you have had with this word? Are there places in your life where you identify a need for this gift? Are there times in your life when you remember being blessed by the quality you will receive? Have there been times when a lack of this quality in your life caused you or others around you pain? And do you identify this quality in relationship to God, to others, to self? Contemplate these things as you receive your word. You will be receiving the word on your star at the end of communion. As you come up for communion, you will receive communion. And as you make the circle around back to your seats, the stars, there will be a basket over here and a basket over here, and you just pick up a star. So we're so glad that you are part of this tradition of receiving this gift from the universe, or from Rogue One, the Force, or however you might understand it, a gift from the Magi. We now have some people that have encountered their star over the past year, and they would like to speak to you. Would Gail and Carl and Mary Lou and Ron please come forward right now, and we'll hear their stories of encountering their star.
Good morning. I'm Gail Kenny, and my husband Vern and I are snowbirds from Minnesota. A year ago, we received a star with a word on it. We were serving communion that Sunday, and so we didn't get it at the beginning, so we were kind of the last to get. But anyway, I love games, and I didn't take the top one. I dug down the pile and I got my star. And I read it and I thought about it. And I went back to the lady who had the stars and said, I don't like my word. May I have another word? And she said, no dear, this word has been chosen for you. So I went to Vern and I said, I don't like my word. And he said, I don't like mine either. So I said, well, don't try to get another one because they just refused. So I took our stars back and I put them on the cupboards in our kitchen. And I started contemplating the word comprehension. Well, I can't tell you the number of hours I have read the newspaper. I have listened to television. I cannot tell a year that comprehension has not been needed more than 2016. I used it for talking to 8 grandchildren, the youngest 3 in college, and hearing their ideas. And instead of saying, are you nuts? I thought about, and actually some of the things they said sounded kind of fun. I brought them home to Minnesota and I put them on my refrigerator. I couldn't ignore them. I was past that refrigerator back and forth and all the time. and that word has become a part of me. Today, we get a new word, and I'm looking forward to a new word. Here's the kicker. I'm not giving up my old one. I love my old one. I love comprehension. And good Lord willing, I'll have it for the rest of my life. I'll share it with someone. But that's my word. And that's the word from Lake Wobegon.
Yes, I'm not done with my word either. And I was going to bring it with me. I have it. It's on my desk, but I forgot. I do know that my word is an important word. And when I received it last January, it was just a word, and I was feeling guilty because I did not know. I wondered what more I might need to become more whole, because my word was wholeness. And I thought, wow, what do I need to add to myself to become more whole? Because all my life I've endeavored to be trustworthy, loyal, friendly, courteous, and kind, which is what you learn in the Boy Scouts. Person. And then later in life, I took the Myers-Briggs testing, and I got feedback from my spouse, my associates, my friends, and I had hope that I was on the right track of becoming a whole person that I felt destined to be. So knowing that this was a long-term, year-long exercise, I resolved to give it time. Little did I know, but at the time I received my word, wholeness, I was not only whole, but possessed many little extra things that I didn't need, which were lymphatic and pituitary tumors. So right here I learned that wholeness is not always about adding things, but more often it is about removing and eliminating stuff. It's also about spending months and months waiting for parts of you that were lost to return in some form of normality. Sense of taste, your touch, your balance, your strength, your hair, any number of things that I took for granted a year ago. If you remember what I looked like and acted like a year ago. And of course, having faith that these lost parts of my wholeness would return is critical and so hard to retain. I never bothered to look up the definition of wholeness. When I got the word, I probably should have. There's a couple of meanings. It is a noun. It's an undivided or unbroken completeness. The state of being complete and entire, having everything that is needed. Well, I could probably lay claim to being somewhat in compliance with this part of the definition, having worked so hard over it all my life. But the second part of the definition is a state of robust, good health or healthiness. The state of being vigorous and free from bodily or mental disease. Well, obviously there was a rub there. So if you just think about the word wholeness, and the prophetic power of that word in my life, considering what Linda and I have gone through this past year. It's scary. It's like, do I want another word that's going to predict what's going to happen to me? Anyway, as individuals, we are not, we are part, we're part of a couple, we're part of a community. So wholeness is never just about me. It's about wholeness, it's about the partnership in the community. And I'm so glad to be an integral part of this community, the Bloom community. That's you. And I feel so grateful to have all the caring for Linda and me that you've given us this year. Because both of us have been short on wholeness this whole year. Thank you.
Last year on Epiphany Sunday, I received a word printed on a star, kind of like the gifts the Magi carried to baby Jesus. It turned out that gift did have deep significance. After some discernment, that word helped me understand some troubling aspects of my life and showed me that God really had been present with me through it all. The word I received last year, it's a little the worse for wear right now, is decision. Decision. Oh wow, I thought, I don't know about you, but I didn't get to be this old without making some decisions that I regretted, or at least in retrospect really questioned. So here's a couple of those decisions. One decision I really questioned was, why did I marry my former husband? I knew early on that I was lesbian. That decision has troubled me. And even though we had 2 children, and they're wonderful people, and we remained married for 20-some years, why? Why? But after some thought about this word decision, I now understand that at the beginning, we had a good relationship. We cared about each other, and we had similar hopes and dreams. We wanted a family. I deeply wanted children. The excitement of an adventurous life, and also the idea of really pairing with a person to live a life together and starting a family outweighed what's probably fear. The pressure of doing what society expected also added to my decision, I'm sure. That decision was not intended to hurt anyone or to deceive anyone. It was good, at least at that time. I faced another important decision when my mother was slowly dying from incurable brain cancer. Over a period of about 3 years, Mom, who was in her 70s, lost her ability to write, to smile, to walk. Speaking became difficult for Mom, and even swallowing. My siblings and I had difficult decisions, and we had discussions, deep discussions, about providing Mom with hydration and nutrition. Some said yes, some said no. Then Mom found the words to express, to tell us that she understood the consequences and she did not want a feeding tube. Mom made the difficult decision herself, and we honored her wishes. It was the right thing to do. So in discerning what the word decision means in my life, I learned that God did not decide to become human in a person of a tiny infant to show me power or perfection or peace. Rather, God became human in the person of Jesus, fully human, so that Jesus would experience joy and fear and suffering and mercy and teach me by example. In learning about Jesus, we learn how to make good, just decisions in the midst of fear and joy and suffering and mercy. And because of that, we come into relationship with one another and with God. The gift of that word, printed on the star, gave me clarity. Making good, just decisions brings me into stronger relationships with others and into a stronger relationship with God. Thank you for this gift. Let there be relationship on earth, and let it begin with me. Amen.
Somehow, God gave me 2 stars. Since I don't know how I wound up with 2 stars on my dresser, but I had eagerness and tact, and Kathy was praying for tact. Eagerness won out over tact. So what do you do with eagerness? As Ron suggested, I took a look at my life and kind of broke it down into some compartments like friends and family, check. There's a lot of eagerness there. Hobbies and recreation, check. Spirituality, faith, check. Social relationships, some buzzers went off. This is where I need to put a little more eagerness. So I went through a process of discernment. I counseled with people. I talked with Penny and Kevin and John about our social action and missions ministry and where we might be able to do some good things for the Coachella Valley. And I started thinking about hunger. And I thought about it all summer up in Montana. Came back here in November, and I started looking around where we could make a difference in terms of hunger and food insecurity. And by golly, I found some low-hanging fruit out there at the well in the desert. And we started off right away in November with that first Thanksgiving dinner. We helped them out. We had 11 of us over there, and we fed about 300 people. And last Sunday, by golly, we had 12 of us, and we joined 200 other volunteers, and we fed about 1,500 folks at the convention center with the Wells Christmas party. We're also continuing on with our strong sandwich ministry. We've over 500,000 sandwiches made now, guys. That's great. And we've begun a new program at the Well in the Desert with our hot lunch program. And we're working there on Mondays right now. We have a strong Bloom presence. We can expand that to other days, and we can expand it on Monday as well. So we are looking forward to weeks and months ahead with some new ideas and new thoughts about how we can help end hunger in America. And if you have any suggestions, I eagerly wait to hear them. Thank you.
We are thankful for these stories and how this gift of the Magi to you as they give their stars and their gifts to you. We hope that it will be renew and empower your life through the coming year. So again,
Our Thanksgiving with the Great Thanksgiving, as you find it printed in the bulletin. Let us join together in this time of communion. God is with you.
Also with you.
Let us lift our hearts.
Lift our God.
Let us give thanks and praise.
This is a good and joyful thing to do.
It is right and good and joyful thing, always and everywhere, to give you praise, all-loving God, creator of energy and matter, heaven and earth. Long ago, you renewed your rainbow covenant with every living creature by entering our realm in the person of Jesus. He gave us your unconditional love and this mandate.
I give you a new commandment, love one another, and you are to love one another the way I have loved you. This is how I will know that you are my disciples, that you truly love one another.
Therefore, we celebrate you, joining our voices with the wind and the streams, the animals and flowers, the living and the dead, the stars and the planets, and all the company of creation, who forever sing their unending hymn to proclaim your glory.
Holy, 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 God of power and might, heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed are all who come in the name of God. Hosanna in the highest.
We remember that on the night before Jesus was betrayed by one whom he loved and killed by ones who feared him, he sat at the table with his friends, women and men and children, sharing the feast of the Passover, which is the celebration of the liberation of God's people. Remembering God's power, Jesus took bread, and after he had given thanks and blessed it, he broke it, saying,
This is my work and my life for you and with you. Take it, all of you, and do this remembering me.
After dinner, Jesus took the Elijah cup, the cup that was traditionally reserved for the Holy One to come. But instead of waiting, Jesus passed it to them as it is now being passed on to us. And he said,
This is the cup of the new covenant. It is the cup of justice and peace poured out for all. Drink of it, all of you, and do this in remembering me.
Each time that we break bread together, we participate in the body of the risen Christ. For we are the body of the risen Christ. And each time we share this cup, we participate in the new community. For we embody God's hope of the new community. For this we ask your blessing.
Pour out your Spirit on us and on these gifts of grain and grain, that in this sharing we recognize Christ in our midst. This offering of praise and thanksgiving is an offering of us to you. Hasten the day when the prophet's dreams come to pass, when justice rolls down like waters, and nations no longer threaten each other, neither shall they learn war anymore. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
These are the gifts of God for the people of God. In this community of Christ, we share an inclusive communion. You need not be a member of this congregation or any community of faith to join us in this action at this table. We share this sacrament historically, begun 2 millennia ago, and we continued on through the many years, and we continue it into the future by our actions today. We share this sacrament globally as people do this all around the world, and we in our little spot of the world here participate in that global action. And we don't necessarily agree with all those people or believe exactly the same way, but this is something we share globally. And we also use this personally and for renewal, perhaps as a time of starting again, perhaps as a time of reconnecting in some way. But this is always a way in which we are able to bring ourselves in connection with our faith in a way that, as the psalmists say, we can taste and see how good God is. For we believe that Christ is the host. Christ sets the table, and Christ welcomes all. Let us come, for God's table is ready. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom,